In 1932, the Australian military declared war. They deployed soldiers, machine guns, ammunition against an enemy that had been terrorizing the countryside for months. The operation was supposed to last a few days. Instead, the enemy won decisively, and that enemy was a bird. This is the Great Emu War, and it is one of the strangest, most embarrassing military defeats in human history.
To understand the Emu War, you need to understand Australia in 1932. The Great Depression is crushing the country. Thousands of World War I veterans have been given land in Western Australia in a region called the Campion District to farm wheat. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a reward for their service, but the land was brutal. The conditions were harsh. And just when the farmers thought things couldn't get worse, the emus arrived. Approximately 20,000 of them. Every year, emus migrate across Western Australia in enormous flocks, and in 1932, they descended on the farmland like a feathered army. They trampled crops, they broke fences, allowing rabbits to pour in and cause even more destruction. They ate everything in sight. The farmers were desperate, so they went to the government, and the government sent Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery with 2 soldiers and 2 Lewis machine guns.
November 2nd, 1932. Operation Emu begins. Major Meredith and his men set up position near a dam where thousands of emus had gathered. It should have been a massacre. Instead, the emus scattered the moment the soldiers approached, splitting into small groups and disappearing into the brush. The machine guns, designed to mow down enemy infantry, were nearly useless against targets that refused to stand still. A few days later, they tried again. This time, they lured a flock of over 1,000 emus toward their guns. They opened fire, and then the guns jammed. In the chaos, only a handful of birds were killed. The emus kept moving, unbothered. A week into the campaign, the results were humiliating. Soldiers had fired nearly 2,500 rounds of ammunition. Confirmed emu kills, approximately 50. Members of the Australian Parliament began asking uncomfortable questions. One politician described the emus as, quote, practically immune to bullets. Major Meredith himself, the commanding officer, later admitted that the emus were remarkably hard to kill, saying that if we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They could face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks.
On December 10th, after less than a month, the military officially withdrew. The operation was declared over. The emus had won. But here's what makes the story even more extraordinary. The emus weren't just surviving the gunfire through luck. Ornithologists who studied the birds later noted that emus have an almost uncanny ability to absorb punishment. Their feathers deflect and slow bullets. Their vital organs are positioned in ways that make instant kills extremely difficult. One soldier reported emptying an entire magazine into a single bird and watching it walk away. Major Meredith's official after-action report noted that each emu seemed to operate as a pack of targets, constantly moving, never clustering. He compared their tactics completely instinctively to those of guerrilla fighters. The farmers eventually got some relief, not from the military, but from a government-funded bounty program. Over the following years, professional hunters, using the same weapons, killed tens of thousands of emus. But the military campaign? That was over, defeated by birds. The Great Emu War became an international embarrassment for Australia. News of the military's defeat spread around the world. Journalists mocked the campaign mercilessly. One editorial suggested that medals should be awarded to the emus. The Australian government refused to officially acknowledge the operation as a failure for decades. In fact, when Parliament was later asked to deploy the military against emus a second time in 1948 and again in 1951, they said yes, and lost again, both times.
Today, the Emu War has taken on a life of its own. It's taught in history classes. There are documentaries, memes, an entire internet culture devoted to celebrating the emu as an undefeated military power. And in Campbell, Western Australia, near where the battles took place, locals celebrate the emu not as a pest, but as a symbol of resilience. Because sometimes, nature doesn't care about your machine guns. Sometimes, the bird wins. The Great Emu War lasted 18 days. The Australian military fired over 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Official confirmed kills somewhere between 50 and 500 birds out of 20,000. The emus never surrendered, never retreated, and never stopped coming. Major Meredith packed up his machine guns and went home. The emus stayed. If this story made you question everything you thought you knew about military history, good. Subscribe, because every week we find another chapter of history that will make you say, wait, that actually happened? And share this video, because the emus deserve their moment.